Hello and welcome to this webinar on user feedback systems and in particularly the GEOSS portal. My name is Bente Liljaby. I'm one of the partner of NextGEOSS, European science project. And with me today, I have Joan Maso from Barcelona. And Joan has a problem with the sound, but you see him in the middle. But Guido, you can say hello from ESA.
Hello.
Yeah. So the plan today is to introduce to you the user feedback system. We have a general introduction that will be given by Joan Maso. And then afterwards, we will then learn about an implementation of such a user feedback system on the GEOSS portal. For those of you who are not familiar with the GEOSS portal, I'll let Guido introduce you to that first. Guido, can you take over from now while Joan is trying to solve the sound problem that he has?
Okay, thank you very much, Bente. So, thank you very much for the invitation. So, I'm Guido Colangeli, working at the European Space Agency, particularly in ESRIN, the research institute nearby Rome, south of Rome, in Frascati. So I'm a little bit a technical coordinator with a number of geo-related activities, particularly on the GEOSS portal, as Bente said. We would like, maybe I can turn on my screen so I can start my presentation. Bente, is this okay?
I think we need to do that. So we all get to learn about the GEOSS portal first, and then we will have the user feedback system and general introduction afterwards.
Okay, very good. So I started up my time, officially my time, so I can in the 10 minutes time. Okay, thank you. You should be able to see my screen now, the splash screen of the presentation, of this short presentation. If it's the case, welcome, very welcome to this webinar. As I said, just a few seconds on the global Earth observation system of system. This is a little bit a general picture. So we have data providers from different nations and type of thematic areas. All in all, these have been linked. And we a little bit shortcut the distance between an end user coming from maybe from a societal benefit area or any community activities through this GEOSS common infrastructure that is pictured in the middle of those entities. Particularly, we have a number of components that are in this GEOSS common infrastructure, as we said. But, and particularly the discovery and access broker, that is the brokering system between this world and very many clients. One of the privileged clients, is the GEOSS portal. That is a bit the tip of the iceberg of this system. So is the end user interface from the different users. So we'll focus particularly on this component of the global Earth observation system of systems. So, having said that, ESA is one of the duties of ESA within GEOSS, together with the data, to providing satellite data particularly, is to develop and host the GEOSS portal. But since a couple of years now, we have in mind just the end user and the users and community of users. That's why our main logo is the U inside, really, and so we are particularly keen in having user feedbacks to evolve our system and to respond, to answer to the different needs of the different communities and user communities. So that's why we would like to show you this and bring to you the concept or just the activities that we have in the user feedback within the GEOSS portal. So this is quite general. So a user feedback, I think, might be categorized mainly into different categories: explicit end user feedbacks and implicit. We'll show in a second what we mean by that. An explicit and user feedback might be an instant feedback, we'll show in a second, or might be a form where you can send feedback. So you have to actively, as an end user, you have to be really active to send a feedback to the system. Or another kind of user feedback is a questionnaire, or the GeoLike concept we'll show in a second. As an implicit category of user feedback is the usage statistics of the use of the interface itself. This gives us really a number of hints and not active user feedback. We will show in a second example of that as well. So with the send feedback form, we can obviously ask the user if he would like, if he would like to send us a bug report or an enhancement, a suggestion. And so, as a usage statistics, as a subcategories of that, we can measure and have hints on statistics really on the interface content, on the how the interface gonna be used, and on the resources itself, geo resources in this case, Earth observation resources are large, that the user can access or just catch in during working with that. We'll provide just example of that very easily. An instant feedback is just an orange color because it has not been implemented on the portal itself, while the others are implemented. So an instant feedback might be the things that we are we are seeing at the toilet. So it's just an easy way to say, hey, this is okay, or maybe accumulating a number of bad faces or not smiling faces. We have a problem, so we have to react to the problem itself. Another thing is the send feedback. So in this short video that we have in the Geospot YouTube channel, we can see that very easily you can send a feedback from the hamburger menu like that, and you can just then open this Google form to send a an enhancement or report a problem. We'll see in a second how this also will work. Or we can fill in a user questionnaire, and this is a kind of user questionnaire we can show. So this is a little bit requires a little bit of time. Obviously, there is a number of questions that are going to be asked to the user, and so on the overall organization, navigation capabilities, and functionality. Say it will take from 5 to 10 minutes. So a user has really to be would like to show something through this form, and so we talk about the questioning, but also the GeoLike. This is a new functionality that is going to be introduced on the Geospot recently on the Geospot. So you can I'm enlarging that. Any resource now can be commented out like that. So if you have stars there, you just click on the stars. And as a guest user, you can rate the resource, put in the stars, and send this comment. And we accumulate this kind of active user feedback. If you are a recognized user, you can insert also and comment comment resources together with the rate. So in this case, we rate 3 stars, and also we comment the resource with a comment. So you can later on also review this comment as a registered user. In fact, now I'm simulating an error in the comment, but I'm sending this rating resource, and you see that we compute on the fly this kind of feedback. And but in the My Workspace of the recognized user, you have GeoLikes, and you can review your comment. As you see here, is the commented rate, and we can change the comment and the rate of this resource. So this is the GeoLike concept, but also we have usage statistics. This is very interesting. We can use statistics, accumulate statistics to help user in finding out their way populating a list of values, for example. Here in the search words, I'm putting some water and see that this is the things that most of the users are using. So water pollution, for example, or we can start with another hints with rain, and so is appearing rain gauge, rainforest, rainfall. So those are all the hints for end users through the usage, so through the help of this usage. But also we can modify the interface as well through the statistics. So I just gave an example. We saw that people was really referring geographical location always on the search term. What we foresee as developer is just to use the search term for just search terms, not just for geographical location. And we have seen that many people were using the same field also to ask for geographical location, and we changed the software then. So this trigger a software change, and I'll show you an example like that. So we can see wind, for example. Put wind in West Africa. In this case, we recognize a geographical location, and we are asking, but you're looking for wind in location West Africa? If the answer is yes, you see that geographical location is put on West Africa, and wind is searched as a keyword. All in all, this thing, and also resources. So we accumulated those kind of statistics. Why that? Why that? Because at the end, what we need are feedback, and the feedback are separately sent to development team and to data provider. So the development team are receiving instant feedback, for example, or send feedback form that both might be in turn affect development or data providers. Questionnaire development team, the GeoLike, obviously, mostly the data providers, and the interface is a feedback to the development team, and the resources are feedback to the data provider. So we are really keen to hear from you. We have a number of events, and so you are our main stakeholder to evolve, as I said before. So we have updates in the pipeline. We have workshop events, GEOSS portal specific workshop. We have one of them every couple of months. So we are just to grab comments, to show the status of the portal, but also to gain statistics and to gain feedback from that, and the user community workshop. Having said that, I thank you very much. I invite you to go to the geoportal.org, and but also, and if I try to, so if I should switch on my sharing, no, I don't want to. Yes, I would like to stop my sharing and see if you can see now my. Can I see? No, my face is not there anymore. So okay. Thank you very much for the attention. Yes, maybe, yes, that's the end for the presentation. No, maybe this should be the other way around.
Sorry, it was right.
Sorry, but that's the end. Okay, thank you very much, Bente, back to you.
Thank you so much, Guido. That was a very efficient presentation of a, well, we have to say a little bit complicated system, but it was clear to me. It looks very promising. And something that we will have the pleasure of benefiting from in the future. Now, we have also Joan Maso with us here, directly from the OGC meeting in Southampton, actually. So he was just escaping the meeting to give us a presentation of a user feedback system. User feedback system in general, I would say that we on several portals. You said in GEOSS, the portals delivering, or not delivering, but connecting with the GEOSS portal. So we are familiar with a number of GEOSS portals, and Joan Maso will introduce us more to the general concept of user feedback. Are you ready to do that, Joan? And before you start your presentation, can you say a few words about yourself? We didn't hear that in the beginning.
Hello, sorry for the accidental, start of this presentation. You are correct. Actually, the closing plenary here in the OGC has started, and what I have done is escaping the start. And once I have ended, I will run to that place again. I hope you are seeing the start of my presentation. This is just to say that this is an effort that comes from the NextGEO project. I'm Joan Maso. I work in a Catalan Institute for Ecology and Forestry Applications that is called CREAF, but my background is more in web mapping, on international standards for geospatial, data sharing, data processing, this kind of stuff. Everything that has a G starting the name is something that interests me for geospatial, of course. So this adventure about the user feedback actually started in 2010 from my perspective, at least, because we were deriving the requirements for a project, European Commission project called GeoBiqua in the 7th Framework Program. And by interviewing people, we realized that there are two kinds of quality information. The producer quality information, where the producer of the data set you want to see is giving you the positional accuracy or the completeness, numerical indices, quality reports of it. But then there is some kind of a gray knowledge on the people that are really using the data set, and this knowledge is lost if they are not able to provide it to some kind of place where they can share and discuss about what they are seeing while using data sets and GEO or the GEOSS common infrastructure data sets. So, of course, you have to look at what you have around, and we know that several big mass market providers in the internet are using feedback for a while. So we can start looking at that to see which kind of data models they use, because as you will see, it seems kind of a naive, but it is not. And then we should see the geospatial component of it. So user feedback is a form of crowdsourcing that offers the possibility to the consumer to provide extra information about the items and to complement the producer's description. So if we look for a book, for instance, in Amazon, this is a book about GEOSS actually, you can see that apart from the producer point of view, so these product details about the number of pages, the language, and the ISBN numbers, the actual size of the book, and so on, you have user opinions. And these user opinions that has this structure more or less are composed by different elements. Some of them are more easy to grasp than other. We have stars, the typical 5-degree stars. We have the title of our description, the actual long description of our feedback. In this case, this book is exactly what I was looking for. But then we have more sophisticated things like feedback summaries, these bars that we are seeing here in the top of the screen here, or even these was this review helpful for you? That means that it's feedback about the feedback itself. It has also the possibility to contain other kind of annotations. So what could be geospatial about that? So it could be, for instance, that a user is looking for a particular region of the data set and sees something wrong, and he wants to report that in the portal. But This report is associated to a particular data set that he is seeing, but just to the area that he is interested in. So this is the geospatial component. A user B can look for feedback on data sets that only affects their area. This is another possible query that uses a geospatial component. We are seeing these implemented in several places, and for instance, we are seeing this now implemented in the GEOSS portal. I was very pleased to see that this idea we have been advocating for a while is now mature enough to see that they are people that does implementations of this, and this is one of them. We also see other people doing that. And for instance, the EUMETSAT MCSAF, the Satellite Application Facility for Climate Monitoring, they have a system that allows you to provide annotations. And that's one kind of feedback. In this case, you have reports or manuals, and you can attach them because you know those manuals exist. You can attach them to the data set for others to query. We are seeing here, and this is a portal elaborated by a group in the UK that call themselves OASIS, and this is a hub where they are collecting data sets about disaster management, disaster risk reduction, and all this stuff. And this is one of the thousands they have, flooding areas, hydrographical stuff in the Segura River in Spain. But the important thing here is, apart from the classical provider information, you have a dataset forum. So there is a way to discuss, to provide opinions about the forum, and to ask questions and get answers. Again, this is a feedback component. So all these things that we are seeing emerging here and there were actually proposed as a standard for geospatial user feedback into the OGC, this Open Geospatial Consortium that I'm a member of, and I'm in the meeting just right now, hidden in another room. What we did was to actually harvest or learn from what was originally discovered from the GeoViqua, and then use another project that is called Charmy that had this approach on annotations. Also look at this forum approach at the ISO metadata, and we wanted to harmonize with ISO metadata just because it's the standard language that the geospatial community is used to. And the result was the Geospatial User Feedback Standards, released in 2016. There are two independent documents. One is the conceptual model, so which concepts, some of them I already explained to you, are involved in the user feedback, and the other is how to encode this into an XML file that resembles a boring ISO metadata document. Okay, so this slide looks kind of complicated, but actually is emphasizing that there are only three things that you have to, three things that you got to take care. The feedback item, so what you are saying, about what you are talking about, the source, and who are you? So the person or organization that is providing this information, and both and the three things needs to be connected, and this is what this slide reflects. And what is a feedback item? A feedback item could be several things. A rating could be a comment, of course. These comments can be questions, answers, response, justification, whatever. And usage report. So I took this data set. I thought it could be useful for me, but in the end, it doesn't really fit because there is this issue. So I will document the issue in this part of the user feedback. Some other times, the data set is extremely well done, high quality, but it contains a significant event that conditions the way you are going to interpret that. So maybe there is a volcano eruption that it's, blurring the image, or there is a flat, or whatever other significant event, or also a sensor anomaly. So this is another component of the user feedback you can report. And I already mentioned this idea of attach publications to the resources, and this is done by a citation mechanism of publications that it's also in the feedback. I would like to say that I'm happy to see several things evolving, and one of the things that I would like to mention is this plugin that's in the GitHub and everybody can download. And this is a Geospatial user feedback schema plugin for GeoNetwork. And GeoNetwork is one of the main data catalog providers these days. This is an open source. And now you can provide Geospatial user feedback in that catalog by downloading this plugin. Trying to come back to the presentation, what I would like to say now is the way we want to implement that in NextGEOSS, because what we realize is that we have a decentralized environment. So there are several data repositories that should, in Europe, connect to the data hub. Each data set in this repository has an ID, and there will be feedback repositories, feedback databases that will be sit next to the data, or will be in a completely independent pod or completely independent site, like this one here, as you see. So the user needs to be able to retrieve feedback from all of them and understand the data they are talking about. And then the user needs to be able to dialogue with one or more of these feedback databases and be able to provide his opinion in a distributed way in order that everybody is aware of it. So in that sense, we are building a distributed environment that once implemented, a feedback that could be input in the OASIS Hub that I shown before could be then seen in the GEOSS catalog or vice versa. And this is really powerful, because this is going to generate a single community of people using datasets, geospatial datasets that are dialoguing about those. And this is possible because we have this data set identifier. And I will never end to repeat that this is really important to have, and we need to harmonize those identifiers. Okay, in NextGEOSS, our own database of feedbacks is called Nimbus, and Nimbus is implemented in a cloud environment in the CREAF premises, is using the standard that I told before, and is, in this case, is using web processing service as a way to query the database. We are now integrating this into the NextGEOSS data hub, so you will be able to provide feedback about our resource in the NextGEOSS data hub. But we have done other experiences. For instance, this is a Inspired GeoPortal. This is a clone of the Inspired GeoPortal, actually, where we were able to provide user feedback. And if you look for a Corinne data set here, you are able to find some data set like this one, and then to review previous feedback, or this is one test that somebody did in our training experience yesterday, or to post feedback about this data set using the Nimbus interface. And everything is working now, so it's available for the first round of users to test and to provide us with new ideas, because NextGEOSS is a 3-year project. So there is plenty of terrain for improving, and this is what we want to do. We want also to develop an API for easier developer from integration. We want to develop a widget, and we will also work with the community on extending the standard and to have it fully functional for everybody. This is the actual NextGeo architecture, and here is just a way of representing where the Geospatial User Feedback Service and client sits in the whole general architecture. So thank you for your attention. I hope this has been informative and entertainment. And back to you, Bente.
Yes, thank you so much, Joan. It's indeed a very useful set of tools, I would say, and capacity that we are improving on. I remember that we've been working on this. I think you mentioned it also, Joan, like in 2010, 11, we started on this. And I did recognize some similarities between the GEOSS solution, Guido. I'm sure you are familiar with the work that we did in GeoWikwa, I assume also. One question I have for you, Guido. I saw that you have sort of two feedback target audiences, namely the overall general user and the providers of data. Are those feedback systems possible to combine, or what was the idea behind dividing it this way?
Yeah, no. It was just for sake of simplicity, was shown as separate thing, but in fact, it should flow. It will flow because this geo-like functionality has been recently added to the portal, so it's still on the way. We started from the client side, and we are storing this feedback for the time being within the portal, within the portal catalog, but will soon send to the discovery and access broker to have a sort of centralized place where things can happen. But also we have a direct link to the data provider. So if we have anything that is concerning really the resource, as pointed out Joe, we will follow directly to the data provider.
I see. Is there, now Joan described sort of a distributed system. I mean, GEOSS is a distributed data management system, and Joan was describing a distributed feedback system. Is that something that would be compatible with what you have done for the GEOSS portal?
Not now, because as I said, the portal is one of the many clients that decentralized for the time being discovery and access brokers have attached to. So this, together with the reusability anyway of the component of the portal, will have a sort of big share of clients that will use the similarities, the similar thing to send the user feedback. But certainly we have to think about this distributed functionalities. And I think what John pointed out is really that this feedback has to be together, sitting together with the data, and so with the providers themselves. But to do that, in order to do that, I think we should promote some standardization of this user feedback together with the catalog. So I think that there is still a lot of work on that, absolutely.
Yeah. Joan, you described then a distributed system. And the idea is then to be able to implement this on basically any type of geospatial data hub or portal. Is that the idea behind or the strategy behind the development?
Yeah, I mean, there is this immediate strategy of providing a tool that can be integrated in almost every client catalog. So I have shown how we did that with the second catalog in NextGEOSS. I have shown how we did that in the Inspire hackathon. By the way, Inspire people were very interested in the approach. Let's see if we can work with them. And also we have experimented even with the Geo API, the GeoDAB API, and it is also demonstrated that it is easy to implement that. So for the moment, this is several clients providing feedback to a single repository. But what we want to do is also the other way around. We want that this feedback can be harvested by other repositories in a way that your opinion of a particular data set will appear in all relevant clients. This is really key on creating a single community that is able to dialogue together in a transparent way, independently from where they are able to access to the data.
Exactly. We had, for those of you who don't know, we actually had a user feedback training on the case of disaster risk reduction yesterday in Reading in the UK. And one of the participants pointed out that it shouldn't be too hard to find or to get access to user feedback. Look at Google. The thing with Google is that they are many users. So what Joan just pointed out, that the users of Earth observations are not that plentiful, so all the more reason for trying to create this common community to make it even better, to easier to get the right feedback for your particular application.
Absolutely, and the more feedback we have, the better. So that's why it is really important what Guido did to put it in the Geo portal now. We are also putting it in the NextGEO Hub. We are building that community, or we are providing the tools for building the community at least. And we have to, and I believe at the beginning we have to force them a little bit until they realize the really usefulness of the history of comments and responses and solutions that are going to emerge, the creation of knowledge that this system will provide by connecting publications to the actual data, reports, policy briefs, all this stuff, even to helping in the transition from the raw data the scientific people are producing in the research infrastructures to the end into the decision-making process.
Yes, Guido, you had a comment. Look.
Yes, in fact, a question. How about big agencies that have their own catalog and they have their own feedback system, or they have nothing for that, and they do not will to have that sort of thing? I'm thinking about really big agencies, so big a number of resources that are potentially coming up from them. How can we support them, or just suggest them to move to this kind of system, a user feedback system?
Yeah, I mean, as far as they are able to connect to our catalog with the dataset identifiers, that should be immediate. They can use what we have, connecting directly to the feedback database repository that we have in the CREAF. We can provide a mechanism that is explained in the GitHub in the Nimbus section on how to do that. There is even a video on illustrating how to do that even without asking us. Just you can do that now. Of course, there will be agencies that will want to retain the control of the feedback themselves. So then we have to provide them with a way to set up a replica of the system in their premises. Also, we have to work, and this is a little bit lateral, but on connecting the users with the producer. So each time a user provides feedback or there is a discussion, it could be good that from time to time the producer gets a report summarizing this activity, and the producer will be able not just to react but also to participate into this process to just complement that feedback or improve in the end the product.
Mm-hmm.
So Guido, it's like Joan said, it's a very good demonstration now on the GEOSS portal. It could perhaps, I'm just throwing this out, be a sort of an inspiration then for the many data providers that are connecting with GEOSS. I mean, there are so many with their own systems, with their own data hubs, that might, where when they look at the GEOSS portal, they could think or get to the idea that this is something they want to have on their portal as well. And then we try to, there seems to be some technicalities that necessary in order to combine what Joan has been developing and that you have developed on the GEOSS portal, but potentially that could be connected in the end. What do you say? Is this far-fetched or?
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a mutual flow of cross-fertilization, as we normally say, and also many pushing things are coming from these data providers events we together with Geo we are organizing. And the next one, so the last one was in Florence, that give a big I think a big big push. And the next
was
one,
a big audience, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
it was very successful.
In the next one will be in March here in Esrin, and that will be really another event that we can really show those kind of things. So we should think about that organization. We started up already that. Please.
Terrific. Sounds good. Any other comments or points that we should remember to mention now?
Oh, I mean, another thing that we could start thinking is doing an interoperability experiment among all the different portals that are providing feedback to see how we can harvest each other, how we can communicate each other, which kind of standards and protocols we are using, and how to improve that. That would be very creative, and I believe we starting to see a critical mass. We could also invite these OASIS Hub people and their approach to the user feedback and see what we can do together.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Could that be done in a part of it under the Inspire Hackathon in the team that has been created for user feedback? Is that perhaps an umbrella where everybody would identify? Or
Yeah,
should
absolutely.
one doesn't exclude the other. I mean, but Guido, I guess we can directly invite you to become a part of that little team. It's an open invitation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was a good idea, I think, Joan. And it seems like we have several avenues to continue and discussing user feedback system, and we definitely have the common interest for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you so much, both of you, for spending time with us here on the internet and informing us about the user feedback systems. So thank you for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bente. Thank you, John. Bye. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.